Hi there, this is John from Pino Comics.
This is the other John from Pino Comics.
And we just wanted to warn you before you tune into our quite excellent show that we may or may not use, what type of term would you use for the language, John?
Swearing with flair.
Swearing with flair.
Colorful language.
Colorful language.
Or just plain out, I don't know.
Gutter talk.
Gutter talk, there we go.
You've been warned. Listen in. Welcome, Pino Comics listeners. John?
Listen to the crowd.
Do you hear that in the background? That is not canned.
That's for us.
That's us. We have people here. Where are we, John?
We are at the Tabletop Shop in Newington, Connecticut, and we are at the beautiful, wonderful Connecticut Festival of Independent Games.
Festival of Independent Game. CT Fig.
CT Fig.
Connecticut Festival of Independent Games. Brought to you by Pino Comics. We're one of the sponsors this year.
One of the sponsors of the show. Thank
you to Jason Michelli and the fellows from Geek Fever Games.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
But we've done this before. We did this a couple years ago with our other show, and we covered that.
With our other show.
With From the Hip, we covered that. And last year we came as spectators. We hadn't had the show together yet.
And we had a good time.
We had a great time. And we've been here for a little bit, and we've already had a good time. We just played a really cool game. What did we play?
Record.
It is a guitar-based strategy game, would you say?
Yeah, I would. This is a game, basically a board game with cards, centered around playing chords on a guitar. How does that work?
Yeah.
How is that interesting? I had a blast.
You did, and you won. No,
I did. I was second.
You were second. I'm sorry. Okay.
The creator won.
Yeah, the creator won. The creator, Marshall, who we're going to have on the show in a little bit, 38 points. John, 28 points. and Johnny Ganache here.
In third place.
Third place with 8 points. So, obviously, again, I'm getting better, but I'm still not the gamer that we need me to be at.
And again, neither of us are guitar players.
No, at all. Not at all.
That goes to show you, if I find this game about guitar playing, it's interesting. And it was. I really had a good time.
Oh, you did your usual game thing where you got that face on and I see you looking at the cards like a savant. And you're in the zone.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I could tell. Absolutely. I've already decided that that's your Christmas gift this year.
It's a points-based game, so usually those games are give or take.
And you gave it one of the bigger compliments I've heard. You said that one of our friends who would enjoy it was very, very hard on games.
Brian Scavera, you will like this game.
Brian Scavera, who is notoriously picky, I guess you could say.
He's very, well, I don't want to say critical, but he knows what he likes.
Yeah.
And I think he'd like it.
So we've got a lot of games to go through today. The event just started about an hour ago. So what we're going to do is we're
still suffering after a night of no sleep. So
last night, we're going to talk about last night. I want to give a shout out real quick. We're going to put this on the Facebook page. I had about, 10 people over my house last night to play Justin Purvis's Movie Buff again because we got to throw that out there. It's a great game.
I love that game.
And we all love that game. And I'm going to give credit to one guy in particular. I've come up with a nickname for him. He's a listener to the show. Guy I know through the comic book store. Lloyd Green came on. And he's going to be on the show at some point, but he wanted to do the Malort shot. And we weren't recording last night, and he couldn't make a recording soon, so he said, bring the Malort, I want to do it. We got it on film, we're going to put it on the Facebook page. Lloyd not only did the shot, it did not affect him in any way, shape, or form, and he was just drinking out of the bottle before the end of the night. So Lloyd's name, I came up with this morning. Lloyd's name is Lloyd Green, so he has the the color for a last name. His nickname now is the Manster. Much like Randy White, the old defensive player for the Cowboys, was the Manster. He was white, Lloyd is green. Lloyd is now known as the Manster. He doesn't even know this yet, but next time I see him, I'm going to tell him.
Only you could get some crazy NFL reference in the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys, Randy White, the Manster. That's now Lloyd the Manster Green.
And when was the last time he played the game?
Oh, Jesus. Early 80s. He retired probably like in 83. Great player. But seriously, Lloyd, we had a great time. We played Movie Buff. Jeez, what movies really got us last night? Patch Adams. John's friend Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle apparently is not much of a movie watcher because every time we got to a cut, she went back to Patch Adams repeatedly.
Yeah, just to screw with us.
And we had a few others, but we'll talk about that more. We're going to get out there, play some games, and talk to some of these creators and find out what's going on out there in the game world.
Right.
All right, we'll see you. All right, we're back at the Connecticut Festival of Independent Games. I've got with me right now Lou, an old friend of the show who's helping me co-host currently. Lou?
Because John's being lazy.
John's being lazy. He's sitting over there texting like a 7-year-old girl on his phone.
Ironically, I brought a 16-year-old girl with me today, my daughter, and she doesn't text.
She's not even texting.
No, not at all.
He's probably actually over there playing Angry Birds, or what do the kids play now?
Is it still Candy Crush?
Candy Crush.
I have no
or
idea.
One of those things.
It's that Mario Lopez show now, isn't it?
Mario Lopez?
Yeah, Mario Lopez is hosting like Candy Crush, the TV show.
If you
Swear to God.
We're going to talk about From the Hip in a minute, but if you go back to the From the Hip, I cut the cable about 2 years ago, so I can't discuss I could discuss current shows on television, but I can't discuss like stuff like that, like crap like that, like I can talk about Fargo or things that people are watching now that are popular, but like Candy Crush, I don't see that. I don't hear about that.
Well, he was so good on Pacific Blue back in the day.
The beach bicycle, the San Diego Bicycle Cop show that lasted about 17 years on USA.
That's because it was always on after Raw.
Yeah. Do you remember Silk
Always.
Stockings?
My 12-year-old self does.
Silk Stockings
loves that show.
It was a disgusting show. USA. Anyways, we just played a game that brings us back to From the Hip days. Last year, around this time, I think it was around this time, we met Kyle Quartermanch and what's your partner's name?
Emily Schubert.
Emily Schubert created a game. They have a company called Scatterbrain Creations. They created a game called Invasion Evasion. I know the name of the game. I own it, and Lou's got me worried I'm going to say it wrong. We played last year. They had a Kickstarter last year as well. I took part in that. I have the game. It's an awesome game. It's kind of a deceptive game, card game-based deception game. We're going to let Kyle explain it to everybody and tell the people what your game's about. Anything you want to tell about it, where you can get it, where you can find your stuff.
So Invasion Evasion is a party game. It's secret role for 4 to 15 players. It's a game that captures the paranoia and fear of a hostile alien attack, and very much inspired by movies like The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you're sitting around a table and there are aliens perfectly disguised as humans around you. So we have human and alien players, 2 teams that are trying to work towards specific goals while never knowing who around you can trust. So the humans are working to mass produce a cure for the alien virus, and they do so by assembling certain cards. The aliens are working to build their doomsday device of ultimate destruction and destroy the planet and bring about a sad Christmas.
What I like about the game is it's I guess you could say it's competitive and also a teamwork game at the same time, but the problem is you don't necessarily know who's on your team at any given point, and things can change, as you saw, Lou, within like a second. You can be an alien and get cured to a human. You could be a human who gets abducted into an alien. We played one round, and Lou purchased the game immediately. What did you like so much about the game? What were the aspects about that made you go, I want this right now?
In truth, it's elegant.
Elegant?
It's in its design, absolutely. It's one of those games that it'll take you one round to, just kind of get the nuance of it down and figure it out. But after that, it's one of those things that you just can play over and over again. There's a lot of games that are very complex in their rule set and hard to learn because there's so much going on, so many different cards with so many different, things that have to happen when, where, why, and how. But this one's basically straightforward, very simple card types. And, even if you were to get, say, 4 or 5 people over for a game night, you could break this out and have everyone playing it and enjoying it in probably 15 minutes.
It's technically listed as a party game, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Now, do you find, when you play this game, do you ever find that you have, contentious people that, start looking at people around the table and getting a little bit pissy with people about what they may be, or is everybody generally having a good time?
Yes to both of those.
Yeah, because some gamers can be pretty hardcore. Maybe I've seen that before.
Yeah, we've seen playing a party game like this where the first lie in somebody's relationship was their status, that they're lying to their significant other about it. So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy sometimes.
And you guys did a Kickstarter last year,
We
correct?
did a Kickstarter back in October, and we were able to successfully launch the game in March following it.
Yes, that's when it came out, correct?
Yep.
I got my copy, and I told Kyle earlier that I had a game night at my house one night with a bunch of friends, and we played 3 or 4 different games, several of the games too that I won't mention, but I love that we had gotten at different CT Figs or different shows like this, and they were all like poop. People weren't into them. I liked the games, they weren't into them. I brought out Invasion Evasion last, and we played that a few times in a row because people were digging it a lot. And one friend in particular that got stuck with the probe card. The probe card makes it so that you can't talk for an entire round until your next turn, and he got it 4 times in the game, and he was loving it, but he was getting very frustrated with it.
Oh, yeah.
The mechanics of the game are a lot of fun.
Thank you. We had a great time with it. It's a secret role game that we tried to design very specifically, that there's no moderator, that the game will run itself, that there's nobody dying along the way, so everybody is always playing, always taking part. And you can still do actions when it's not your turn, too, sometimes. So you always feel like you're involved with the game, which is pretty cool.
Now, with you and Emily, do you have separate aspects of creating the game? Did you come up with the idea, she came up with something else, or you just together came up with everything?
I'm more the game designer, where I worked out the mechanics and what the cards are and the rules. Emily is the graphic designer, so she did all of the artwork throughout it.
Okay, the artwork's great too. I will give
yes.
her. I will give her that. It's very cool.
It's got a very 50s kind of throwback vibe
50s
to it, you know?
alien,
Alien invasion
yeah.
movies.
Yeah, absolutely. War of the Worlds, and like we said before, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the good stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell the people? I know you said that you have a robot. I heard that. I think I read that on Facebook. A robot add-on coming soon.
We are just starting playtesting it, actually, but it's a robot expansion, which would be a third team. Similar idea, where it's a third team in disguise. You don't know who they are, but it's a team of robots. They have their own objectives, and it would create new dynamics where teams could now gang up and form alliances against another team. So the humans and robots could work together to take down the aliens, or vice versa or such. The end goal would be that for the last team standing, though.
So you're playtesting that now. Do you have a Kickstarter point, or are you still too far away from that?
We don't have a date set for
Nothing
that.
for that
so
yet.
We still want to get it right, because it's complicated throwing in all these new elements, and we want to make sure it's good.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and that's one of the things. The balance on the game is so good as it sits already. Adding a third team in, if it's done improperly, I could see how it would, cause everything to go haywire.
yeah, I guess that's a good part about a expansion or an add-on, is that if you want it, you can get it. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So as the game stands, you like it a lot. If you didn't like the play with the third team, you wouldn't have to play it.
Right, and we got other ideas too of like smaller, just quick little expansions. That here's a deck of new rolls that throw things into chaos. There's other ideas that I have of adding in fourth humanity or doomsday cards, making it so the teams have to assemble a little bit more, which we could add more players in a little bit easier along that line.
All right, so we're here again, CT Fig with Kyle, and we played Invasion Evasion. Do you want to tell everybody where they could find it, where they could find you, any of your website addresses, stuff like that?
Sure thing. We're Scatterbrained Creations. We can be found at scatterbrainedcreations.com, also on Facebook. Same website. We have an online store at Scatterbrained Creations where this can be purchased, and we also do other artwork and photography, and Emily is a children's book designer. She has a book, A Grumpy Situation. It tells the tale of a giraffe that learns the true value of friendship.
If I had a kid, I'd buy that.
I just learned that. That was great.
Yeah, if I didn't know that.
New info right here.
Right there. I didn't know this, and we're putting it out on Pino Comics first. So
Yeah, it's a Pita Comics exclusive.
exclusive, exactly. It's going out there.
You
Well,
need some hard-hitting music in the background when things like that happen.
Pino Comics exclusive.
Yeah.
The Grumpy Giraffe. Kyle, we want to thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us play the game again. We really dug it. And Lou, thank you for sitting in for Lazy John over there, who's
Not a problem.
who's currently
Glad.
sleeping in a public place. So that's that. I'm going to take
He's
a
like
picture.
a hobo on a park bench
He
right
is.
now.
He needs, what are those hobo things called? The stick with the
bindle.
I knew you'd know that. I knew you would know that. Hobo stick with the bandana. on
We
the end
only
of it.
had
Yeah.
endless conversations about bindles at work.
Did we talk about bindles?
Tons of times.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I knew the
Yeah.
word, but it's one of those words that you know, and then
Yeah, I
it's
mean, like
just gone.
we spent an entire
It's
10-hour
just
day
gone.
talking about bindles once.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you don't remember.
Yeah, we get a lot done at work when we work together. So,
Well, I learned a new vocab word today.
did you not know bindle?
No.
See, look at
I've
that.
always seen it, but I never knew it had a name.
Yeah, and here's the important thing too. Because I read this on Facebook. I saw your the thing about the Chamber of Commerce and selling things.
Yes.
Kyle's a teacher.
Yes, I
So
am.
you taught a teacher something, and he didn't know.
Well, I'm a math teacher. I'm not good with words.
No, so so that's
And
fair.
then on the 8th day, Satan said, letters and math.
Letters and
That's
math.
all I have to say.
All right. Well, thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, back at the CT Fig, another segment, another game producer, designer. We have, this is the best named one so far for a personal name. We have Adam the Impaler. That's right. You thought that Vlad the Impaler was the only the Impaler that you've ever heard of? We found Adam the Impaler, one of the guys in charge of Power Patrol. Adam, I'm going to say you're the guy in charge, and it is the actual whole title. This is very much like Stephen King's The Mist or something along those lines. It's Adam the Impaler presents Power Patrol. It is a card-based game, and it looks pretty awesome. I'm going to let Adam explain what he's got going on here.
Yeah, actually, the official title of our Kickstarter is Adam the Impaler Presents Power Patrol, a coloring card game, diddly diddly whammy bar woo Kickstarter.
Wow.
That is very much reminiscent of the knights who say icky, 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 but it just goes on and on. But, it's funny.
We went over to Adam's table. Now I'm going to let Adam describe it better, but it is would you consider it a deck building game?
Yes, it's very much a deck building game, but it also, the last couple of years, I'm trying to figure out how to do an adult coloring game that's more masculine.
Okay.
That's not like flower mandalas.
Okay.
And this is about where I've landed at now.
All right.
So it's a coloring card game that comes blank and colorless, and you can enhance all your cards with 12 different colors and abilities.
And each one, as I saw there's a chart over there, lime green is poison. You have each one is a different power, or
Yes, each one has a different ability. There's 6 color families, and they have like a theme and ideology to them, but within the color families there's different abilities. Currently at the moment each color family has 2 abilities, but we're hoping with the next expansion to have a 3rd ability to each color for
Okay.
18.
And is this the first game you've designed, or?
Yes, I would say so. I've made board games before, but I wouldn't call them games. They
So
were more than
just
projects.
project stuff you did. This is the first thing that you're actually going to be you're currently kickstarting, or
Yes, our Kickstarter launched yesterday.
yesterday. So this is perfect timing.
Wow. Wow, right in on it.
Yeah, right.
Getting in on the open door.
Day number 2.
Yeah, day number 2.
Yeah, it was like 7 o'clock last night, so we're still like first
look at that.
24. Yeah, we have another convention coming up in the middle of July, so we kind of bookend the Kickstarter between the 2.
What convention is that?
We are going to the New England Comic Book Convention in Hanover.
Hanover, Mass.
Yeah, at the Hanover Mall.
Okay, all right. We'll link people to that on our Facebook page as well, so maybe people want to go check you out there.
All right.
Now, speaking of comic conventions, I believe you had also mentioned there was going to be a tie-in comic involved in this as well.
Yes, we're working on, originally the idea stemmed from a comic book called Awesome Squad, and so I'm still working on that at the moment, but to go with the Kickstarter that's live now, we have the comic book, the Power Patrol comic book companion, and that follows the story that's on the back of the box, and kind of helps elaborate it so that people who aren't familiar with it can read a story and understand
So you're doing
the role-playing.
You're doing a multi-platform type thing.
Yes.
Where you have the book, you have the game, and it kind of all the characters kind of all intermingle, or.
Well, it's actually, I was working on the comic book, and I went to I had a booth at the Philly comic book convention in April. And to get ready for it, I had gone to a convention, and I went to a seminar, and he had suggested drawing up trading cards to hand out, and you can sell them for like $1. So you do a little sketch, have a whole box of them, people can go through and sell them. After about 30 of them, we were playing a game with them, and that's how the whole game came about.
Really?
That was about in March.
So this has been fast-tracked, this whole thing.
Yes.
All right, get off the game for 1 second. Can you give us the Adam the Impaler? This was, you said, a MySpace thing, or?
Oh, yeah, 15, 16 years ago.
Any chance I get to bring up something like MySpace, I've got to do it. So you said it, I have to bring it up.
Yeah, I had a friend, they had a movie club, they had like 13 people in it, they wanted 14, so I got forced to join MySpace, and I just made up a name. And then it was my Halo handle, it's my Battle.net, it's everything now. League of Legends.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back way.
I have no interest in your last name, because your name to me will always be Adam the Impaler. It's just, that's way cooler than like whatever your last name could be. You know? I'm sure your last name is probably something great too. I'm just going to know you as Adam the Impaler. So where can people find, other than the Kickstarter currently, is there a website? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Power Patrol. I'm just using my own Twitter, so it's Twitter, Adam the Impaler.
Adam the Impaler again, there we go.
Yep, and then our website, where all the rules and colors are located, is welcometotheawesome.com.
Welcome to theawesome.com. Lou?
And I believe just to add in on all the projects he's got going on, he's a multi-platform guy. There was also something new you're working on, right? A sword and sorcery kind of fantasy thing?
Yes, Divine Intervention. And it also uses the colors that are like the ideologies and families that are in Power Patrol, but it's set in like a medieval time, more of like 400s, 500s.
And is that going to be a card game as well, or is that you branching out into a different type of medium?
That is more of a board game. It's more of like a risk style.
I don't like Risk. You know why I don't like Risk? Every time I've ever played Risk, I end up in Australia, fighting for my life. My wife is a Risk player, and she's conquered everything, and I'm just in Australia, just waiting. Like, I've got 4 armies left. But I'm sure your game is great, but Risk just always brings up bad memories to me of getting my ass handed to me in Australia.
Will you have an Australia-type place in this for John to reside in?
Exactly.
Or
Can you?
Will
do
there
it?
be like a last-ditch holdout place where you can just get one army every turn?
Yeah.
And eventually maybe make a breakout back into Asia?
Yeah, that way when I buy your game, I know that I can hide in like the land of Kowloon or something like that, and that's where I'll slowly die.
Actually, in Divine Intervention, it has board pieces that interlock. So you go around the table picking the pieces out of a bag, and then you build the continent that you play on.
That sounds pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
That sounds pretty awesome.
And there's boats and stuff, so you can actually build multiple continents and then have to go fight each other on those.
Well, I think that sounds like a pretty awesome game. I know, I will say this, Lou is here again with me while John is off playing some games. And Lou's a gamer, and
I actually have him babysitting my daughter right now. I told him that I was going to go do this, and I said, Johnson, go play this game with Casey. I'm going to do this with John. So
Yeah,
that's where he is right now.
That's
everyone.
some pretty heavy. If you don't know John, that's a pretty heavy thing to let your daughter hang out with him for more than 15 minutes. But good for you. But what I was going to say was Lou's a big game guy, and he saw your game and he just got so excited, and he comes over like a little kid. He's like, we gotta go talk to these guys and play this game. And I took a look at it too, so I'm looking forward to getting over there and playing it. But Adam the Impaler, I want to thank you for coming on Pint of Comics, and we're going to be looking out for your stuff. We're going to link your stuff on our Facebook page. Our website's coming up soon. We're still working on that, but we will send you the link when this is all done.
You will probably get 7 more site visits because of this podcast.
Hey, you know what?
At least 7.
You know what? Every like little download counts. So.
Well, on the other side, it might be more than 7 because it'll probably be all me. You're going to look at your web traffic and go, there's this one nerd in Connecticut who just keeps coming to this site.
We did our Star Wars. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Oh, yeah.
We did our Star Wars 40th anniversary episode about 2 weeks ago. And whenever you do the podcast, when you put it up on Libsyn and iTunes, it asks you for a description of the episode. So usually I'll put down, like this one, I'll put CT Fig and all that. So for the Star Wars one, I kept it simple. I put May 25th, 1977, Star Wars opens and changes the world. And I released it on May 25th. So I put May 25th, 2017, our Star Wars 40th anniversary episode is released, and we hope to get 4 downloads. So that's just a little story.
Well,
But
when you said I was going to get 7, I was like, oh, that's awesome. We can double what I got now.
hey, that's what we're here for, to help each other. We're here with Lou, and I do want to ask you, since you said you're a Star Wars fan, and we've got a little bit of time here. How did you feel about The Force Awakens? Be honest, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat that this guy loves it. Loves it.
It was awesome, but in the way that it's a good rehash.
Exactly.
Yeah, I liked Rogue One better.
Yes, me too.
The problem is John's cynical, everybody. He'll never tell you this. He doesn't like fun.
I do like
John.
fun.
John has an issue with fun.
I do like.
And
I
any
do
movie
like fun.
that's just fun, he has an issue with, and that's his big thing. That's why he doesn't like The Force Awakens. He just can't get over the fact that it's a Star Wars movie. I don't know what he wanted, like Shawshank Redemption out of it, and he just didn't get it, so he's not happy. It's always been his problem.
I want to hear Adam's opinions on Force Awakens.
I don't think you could have done it a different way. I think it was a great step to get back into the system.
Amen.
But it was just this. It was the first movie remade. So,
Do you like Kylo Ren as a character?
yes.
You do. Okay.
I love this guy.
I think-
He's awesome. We're like,
I went home and I sewed myself one of those scarf hood thingies so I could wear that out like a shawl because I thought that was badass.
Did you?
there it is.
Did you go to your job and throw a fit in front of everybody like Kylo Ren does and makes the stormtroopers nervous? And
If you had a lightsaber and you got angry, you would destroy shit too.
I'm not
You
saying
would.
I'm not saying I wouldn't. It's just he was such a fucking baby about everything.
I'm still betting he's a double agent for the Jedi. I think Luke sent him in and he's working on something undercover.
Are you thinking that Han's not dead? Do you think it was? Or are you thinking he killed?
No,
That's
think
ultimate double agent stuff. You're willing to kill your dad.
it's to bring down like the worst thing in the universe.
My God, though. Let's go through and imagine right now for 1 second, though, that you're right. Let's just say that you're right. And that Luke is in on it, and he actually gave Kylo the okay to kill Han in order to save the universe. That would make Luke the biggest shitheel of all time.
Well, no, because when you think about it, that's exactly what Vader did. He put in like 20 years to destroy the Emperor.
Yeah. Well, he had a change of heart at the last minute, though. I mean, he was...
I mean, you could argue that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it works. I'm just saying 5 years later, Luke's sitting meditating, and he's like, I gotta get a sleep rune as an apprentice. That's how this works.
If that happens, I want to have you on the show again, and I will tell you that my appreciation for Force Awakens has gone up, because if they manage to figure that one out and make Kylo Ren a sleeper agent, and that he actually killed Han as part of like that was one of the parts of Rogue One.
Captain Phasma.
Oh.
Bet Jesus, right, John? Right?
Talk about Captain Phasma.
If we discussed this on an earlier podcast, if there has ever been a character in the Star Wars universe designed to sell figures, it was Captain Phasma. You know, they're sitting around a room and they go, you know what would really sell? A Chrome Stormtrooper. Yeah, let's do that, Chrome Stormtrooper, and let's make her female, and let's make her like in charge of the Stormtroopers. And then you get to the movie and she has one line, and her line, or two lines, but her main line is, or hand me a blaster for diagnostics. This is not a badass character. This is a character who is taking a gun and running it for diagnostics, and then she ends up in a garbage chute.
Which is interesting because she's in photos for the next one.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have her helmet, so I think it's going to look a lot like the Shredder helmet from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, because in the first one he got trash compacted also.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to have like a Shredder Chrome trooper kind of thing.
Adam the Impaler, not only the creator and man behind Adam the Impaler presents Power Patrol, but he's also a Star Wars conspiracy theorist who has some pretty good ideas of what might happen in this. And that would be really cool if, after we got rid of George Lucas for all of his like kind of batshit crazy stuff, if like these guys just start going off the rails and having like the Super Shredder stuff going on, and if Vanilla Ice has a song in The Last Jedi, like go Jedi, go, then I will absolutely, I will be amazed, and I'll go, we got to get Adam on again.
I will be amazed.
All right, Adam, thank you for talking to us, though, and if we do manage to double our downloads thanks to you, or get you 7 more likes, we feel like we did our job. But your game does look pretty cool. We're going to come over and play it. Lou's all chomping at the bit, we'll be over in a few minutes. But I appreciate you being on.
All right, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you, sir.
So we're back here, CT Fig 2017.
2017.
I'm on my first monster of the afternoon.
John has...
I'm nodding off here.
We're going to give you a quick history of last night.
No, let's not do that.
We are. Last night I had a game night over at my house, and I had about 9 people over, and John drank way too much.
It's not that.
And we'll go into a little history. John works a lot of hours, so he's had a long week.
It's been
Then he capped it off with too much to drink last night and an early morning to get here.
Yeah.
Then we got here, and I was amazed. I was like, "Wow, John is really together. He's good. He's got energy. We set up. We were set up where we set up.
Played a game.
He was good to go, ready to game. We gamed. He was active. We ate lunch, and he just shit the bed. He absolutely went downhill.
Bottomed out.
He bottomed out. So Lou, luckily, a friend of the show, showed up with his daughter to play some games, and he was able to sub in the last couple of rounds because as we were sitting here recording, John was over in the corner like pooping his pants or whatever it is he was doing. But we were able to get John back up to his energy with I think a Rockstar, a Monster Energy drink.
That's my go-to while I'm driving around for work and nodding off at the wheel.
Yeah, so you do a little Rockstar. I don't do those drinks at all because
I don't like to, but you have to. The coffee doesn't do it, and this stuff. What I found with these things, these ridiculous energy drinks, it's not that they wake you up; it's that they make you have to pee so bad
that it keeps you awake.
It keeps you awake. That's what it does.
Oh,
for me.
I didn't mention that our first stop of the morning was Clay Colo in Middletown, where we had espresso. So nothing is working for him. But we are currently here with our buddy from Geek Fever Games.
4 days of late nights and.
Geek Fever Games, the creators of CT Fig, Matt Plord.
Matt Plord is here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, Matt. We love you guys. We love your games, and we're very happy that we were able to do this here.
Did I tap the microphone too much?
It's okay. Just stop now. Thank you. You weren't here for the last segment. Lou was slamming that thing around. You're going to hear it when you hear the show. Oh, we talked to Adam the Impaler, and Lou's just ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. So when you hear that,
well,
you'll
if your name is the Impaler, I think you kind of have to.
Yeah, we discussed it. They have a pretty cool game over there, and yeah, his name is Adam the Impaler. So I told him, I said, I don't even want to know your last name because you have the coolest secondary name I've ever heard.
Hey, well, look. This is Matt Plord, Lord with a P.
Lord, yeah, exactly. We know Matt, but whenever you talk to somebody and you don't say their name out loud all the time, you go, okay, so how do you pronounce your name? And that's what he gave us. And I'm sure he's had to do this his whole life because I'm sure there's people who say Plord or Plaude. But in France, you're Plaude. Plaude.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. So you guys are here today. Give us a rundown. This is your third time doing the CT Fig, correct?
Yes, this is the third event that we've put on. We wanted to, Jason, who's one of the members of Geek Fever Games, decided to do something to give back to the community. And this is the indie game developer community. And so we really enjoy the Boston Fig, which is the one up in Boston, obviously. It's held once a year. It kind of gave some spotlight to the independent game developers. We've been to PAX East, and you're alongside those big publishers, and it's like, okay, well, where is the spotlight on the small guy doing this sort of stuff? So we wanted to bring this to Connecticut. This is the third time we've done this, and we've had a great turnout today.
Yeah, we know your personal history between you and Jason, and we know you have two other partners that we're going to get into in a minute. Give us the Geek Fever Games history so that our newer listeners know what you're about, how you started.
Sure, yeah. So Jason and I are high school friends, and in college we decided to try making games, as we had always tweaked with rules or whatever, and it was just a passion of ours. And, being dumb kids, we failed. And when you fail, you learn. And so many, many years later, well over a decade, probably 2 decades later, we got together and we're like, well, let's try this again.
Still friends the whole time?
Still friends the whole time.
Just never talked about it again?
Yeah, not really. I mean, we'd mention it every now and then.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, yeah, I'd really like to do that again. But the kids are young, don't have time for that. Working on the new job. And so now that our kids are a little older, we decided in 2012 to take another run at it.
And that was with your first game?
Mars vs. Earth.
Awesome game, by the way. Mars
Yes,
vs. Earth is an awesome game.
So Mars vs. Earth was the first game you guys did and the first one you published?
It was the first game we did, and we self-published.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's have you played Mars vs. Earth?
Yes.
We played it at Sticks and Stones a few years ago, and I played it again here, maybe here last year, and it's a great game. It's one of those what do you want? Deception.
It's a hidden loyalty.
Hidden loyalty. I couldn't think of the name. Yes.
That's actually a good tagline. I don't think anybody uses that.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've never heard it anyway.
Oh, yeah. And so it's you don't know who's on your team and who's against you until the game kind of unfolds organically.
So now, Geek Fever, you've been around for a few years now. Pretty much a mainstay here in the Connecticut scene. What's your most popular game so far?
Well, we just had a popular Kickstarter, so far, if you talk about popularity, then that would be Dead Man's Doubloons. We just finished the Kickstarter that was picked up by a publisher in Spain called Thundergriff, and that's going to be released later this year.
We both, John played Dead Man's Doubloons at Jason's house last year.
Yeah, it was an early play test, not an early one. He had gotten a lot of things finished off. It was pretty early on. It was before last year's the mid-year event.
And I played it at either Sticks and Stones or CT Fig. Maybe it was Sticks and Stones. Were you guys at Sticks and Stones? Here.
We were, yeah.
Me, you, and Jason played it wherever it was.
Okay.
Yeah, we played, and
maybe it was that. Maybe it was at I played it right before Sticks and Stones.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It was a fantastic game, and that was the thing. Right around the time we heard that you guys got picked up by a publisher in Spain.
Yes.
So that has already kickstarted. It's done, or is it still going?
Yeah, the Kickstarter is done, but people can still go to the Kickstarter and order the game because there will be things in the Kickstarter version that just will not be in the retail version.
Okay.
So if you want those Kickstarter-only items, then go and grab the game up there. It's also the cheaper price, too, so...
Can they also get it at your website, geekfevergames.com, I'm assuming? Or
we should have a link there, yeah.
And what else? So give us a rundown of other games you have going on right now.
There's more than we can say. I mean, we're here at a family event, and so people are sitting down playing Plus Word right now, which is our most popular family game.
Plus Word's an awesome game.
Yeah, where you're just kind of matching words and seeing what everyone else at the table matches. I play it with my parents and my children at the same time. So it's a great word game. I've had to restock it on the shelf already today. So
that's good news.
And that I like to hear, especially with the crowd that's here.
This is a good crowd.
Really good crowd.
This is a good crowd.
Yeah, it really is. We have the press, we have judges, and we have many attendees. It's fantastic.
Awesome. So is there anything else you want to throw out there? Stuff coming up? Anything else you have coming out that you want us to know about?
Yeah, we just added a fourth partner just this month, or last month rather, Darren Horrible from DPH Studios, and he's adding a few games into our lineup.
We just actually played one. We played...
Yeah, we played against each other.
We played Chromosomes. Right?
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good game.
Oh, it's always fun beating you into the ground.
Did you win?
Yeah.
I choose to forget that.
I won.
He's won everything we played against each other in today so far.
Yeah, so we have Chromosomes going on. We have that available for sale. And we have a few more games coming in from him. A few games that are in some pretty high-profile contests right now that we're excited about, and we're certainly releasing more games. There's more I can't talk about, but there's more coming down the pike.
He's being secretive.
That's good. It'll keep him coming back.
That's right. That's right. Well, we appreciate you guys having us here. We are very cool to be.
Yeah, we love you guys.
We love doing this with you guys, and you guys. Honestly, I'm always telling people about Geek Fever Games and always trying to spread you guys on social media.
The festival. Festival of Independent Games.
Festival of Independent Games.
We appreciate it.
Well, I do have one other question for you, real quick. 'Cause I always found this is a funny story. We had Jason on from the Hip a few years ago, or about a year and a half ago, and I want to know how you got into games, because Jason, I believe, found a game in the garbage, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he was telling us that.
I can't remember what he found it on the street or something. He found a copy of I'm going to say Clue or something, which I'm wrong. I can't remember the game.
It was something
but
easy.
we got on him for it because he basically garbage picked a game. Were you also? Did you garbage pick a game to get into games?
Well, so you guys are sitting here laughing. So
you were with him and you traded it off? Or?
That was before we met. But I had always played games. My family's from Maine, and in the winter in Maine, there's really not much else to do.
There you go.
However, how I got into real board games was I was walking around the neighborhood at 3 a.m. at night, saw a game sticking out of someone's garbage can. It was called Fortress America.
John,
that
of
out
course,
of
knows
the
it.
trash along with Axis and Allies.
Who the hell would throw that game out?
Well, now it's like $400 on eBay, and that's how I started with a dumpster dive. So we have similar origin stories.
That is awesome. And I'm going to tell you, I did not know that. That wasn't set up.
Right?
The fact that they...
I don't believe it.
No, Jason did not mention that at all. He told us that he dumpster dived the game, and we made fun of him for that.
Fortress America. Who the hell would throw that out?
Well,
It's one of the best games of all time.
And I don't know much about games like that, but I do know Axis and Allies isn't a cheap game either, right? So you got two pretty good games out of the dumpster.
Yeah, it was like Christmas,
Wow. Wow. So
but with more garbage.
the unofficial tagline for Geek Fever Games is Geek Fever Games built on dreams and garbage.
I'm not sure I'm going to let you use that one.
Nah, we won't use that. We won't use that. No, but we really do. If you want to direct people to your website, Facebook, anything like that?
Yeah, geekfevergames.com, and you can get to everything from there. We're going to be at many conventions coming up, including Gen Con, so feel free to check us out there. We'll also be at PAX Unplugged, which is in Philadelphia, Retro World Expo, which is going to be in the Hartford Civic Center, and Kineticon.
Retro World Expo was the one that was in the Oakdale previously.
It was in the Oakdale,
yes.
but now it's going to be, I believe, in the
Science
XL
Center? XL Center.
or somewhere else in Hartford.
Yeah, they did it 2 years in a row at the Oakdale.
I don't even know anything about it.
Yeah, I was going to try to get us press passes, and
Well,
it was
it's
a
more of
weekend
a-
we couldn't go.
It's more of a merch and like retro game, like video games.
Yeah.
But they want to do board games, so actually they asked Geek Fever Games to help them bring their board game section up to speed. So we're actually running their board game
That's awesome.
showcase or whatever.
That's awesome.
I did hear about it now.
Well,
Not that I'm talking into the mic.
yeah, no, I did hear that.
I heard about it.
Where you going, John?
Yeah, that's 7 or 8 feet away.
That's okay. I'm here.
Well, Matt Pelord, P with a Lord, we really appreciate you having us here. We appreciate you letting us record here. We appreciate you just everything you do, because you guys really are an awesome company.
We love you guys, so thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're back. CT Fig 2017. I'm Sir John. With me is Johnny Ganache.
That's right.
I just got out of the bathroom where I had a little episode.
John, we went over and we played a wonderful game. Who we're going to talk to the one of the creators of, and we said, come on over. We're gonna record. So he had some stuff to take care of, and me and John came over here, and we sat down and we were just bullshitting for a few seconds there.
I had a Brian Scovera incident.
Yeah, and as we were talking, I mentioned I don't know how I mentioned vomiting, and all of a sudden, you ever see somebody just turn? Like John actually said to me, he goes, "You had to go and say that, right?" And I just thought he's just being, he's being funny. And then I looked and I went, "Oh my God, he's like stage 9, like level 9 insanity over there."
Trying to hold it back, holding it back.
You look like Casper the Unfriendly Ghost. He's laying back, and then and I'm like, wow, he's gonna uke in the middle of this. And we're sponsors. We've developed a great rapport with the guys from Geek Fever Games, and we're never going to be able to come back because you're going to barf up Malort all over the rug here.
That's already digested. This would have been my sandwich I just ate.
Okay, yeah,
Which would not have been cool.
The bologna grinder he ate for lunch would have been all over the rug. So who do we got, John?
So with us at the moment is Dan Miles, creator of Wordoboros.
This is a tough
You can
one
say
for me.
it.
Wordoboros.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm Dan Miles. I'm the creator of Word of Burrows.
Word
this
of
is a
Burrows.
microphone. Am I close enough?
You are close enough. Thank you, Dan.
Feel just grab it if you need to.
Yeah, just you do whatever you need to do to be heard.
We're working on a budget here.
Understandable.
Next year we're gonna have boom mics and all that stuff.
I know a thing or two about working on a budget. I just had to eat out of a urinal, filled a bologna sandwich and Monster energy drink.
Oh my God!
Jump right in. There we
Wow,
go.
look at that! Look at that, John. You didn't even make it to the toilet. You hit it. You hit the urinal.
No, I went all the way in there.
All right.
I got so close I got to see who was in there last.
So we Word of Burrows. We just played a spirited game. This is the fourth game we've played today, and John's beat me every single time.
I have to say this, there's a lot of word games here today, which I think is interesting. But this one in particular is very different. It's a lot more challenging, very creative, and I gotta ask you, where did you come up with the whole Word of Burrows? I mean, why a serpent eating its own tail?
I think it's kind of an underused image. You see it on door knockers, you see it around, but you never really prominently. And I thought that it's time for the door knocker to have its day.
I'm good with that. I'm really good.
John
with
coincidentally has a that is just an Ouroboros. Is that what it's called?
Ouroboros.
Yeah, Ouroboros.
Okay. Ouroboros. John has an Ouroboros necklace on currently, so that's just kind of coincidental. And as you said, door knockers and
It's a Viking thing, man.
Conan the Barbarian.
Your check is in the mail.
So where do you hail from? Where are you?
I hail from Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay,
I
local.
lived in Boston for much of my life, but I returned home to spawn and die like a salmon. And that's where I am now.
Downriver, but that's okay. And is this the first game you've created, or?
This is the first game that I've really attempted. I've had a couple in my head since 2014, and this is the first one that I'm actually kind of trying to realize.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience.
Well done.
Yeah, it's very impressive for a first game. I took a picture of the board, which I'll be putting up on our Facebook page, and it's, as you said, a prototype of some sort, but it's an awesome watercolored image of it.
Yeah, it's the art is nice. I like that.
Emily Alexander is the artist. A dear friend of mine. Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely incredibly talented painter.
Yeah, it is very good. It is very cool.
I have to say this. I mean, every year we come. Well, what's this? 2 years now.
2 years,
this
but
is
three
the
times.
Third CT Fig that we've done, and every time we come here, we find some game that we really, really dig. Excuse me while I.
Excuse me while he throws up in my microphone.
Excuse me while I try and hold down this burp. What was it? The first CT Fig we did, Connecticut Festival of Independent Games.
Festival of Independent Games.
We met this guy Justin Purvis. Justin Purvis. Hey,
Yeah,
how you doing?
Yep, Justin Purvis.
Movie Buff is this great little card game that we play, and we cannot shut up about it. We play it all the time. I think that your game is going to be another one of those things that we're going to sit there and hack at each other. Because
Yeah.
it's got this nice competitive feel to it. Like, hey, you know what one of my quests was?
Well, it's steal my consonants. or-
No, it was make a word that rhymes with aft.
Aft.
And I couldn't even get a T.
Wow.
I mean, any good game is going to end in a fist fight, so it's kind of what I'm going for here.
We'll explain the rules and ideas of the game for a second, but one of my quests was a single syllable word, and I had turd. I was able to form turd. So, Dan, if you
the
could,
only thing he could come up with.
if you can give us
Able to form turd.
if you can give us the general idea of the gameplay for the people out there who want to.
Sure. So Word of Burrows is a game where you traverse the body of an Ouroboros. You can land on either a hooked claw for a C, on which you draw a consonant. You can land on a tooth for a V, you draw a vowel. You land on a crystal, you draw a fortune card. You pass the head of the dragon, and you can turn in any of the quests that you have, and the quests are going to tell you how to spend your letters and how to fulfill those objectives.
So it's almost like a combination in some ways of a Scrabble-y type game, but you also, instead of just trying to put words together, you have to work off of the cards that tell you what type of words to use. So antonyms, I don't know if you had homonyms or so you're looking at that. You're looking at different
Did you just say homonym?
homonym, right? Isn't homonym?
I believe a homonym is a word that sounds like another.
Oh, is that what it is?
That
I'm
might
sorry.
be a homophone. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit, and I'm not afraid to admit, I had to ask what an antonym was because it's just been a long time since I've had to deal with that.
I got nothing.
Yeah, you can
for
call me. You can call me stupid. That's okay.
No, I
That's
got nothing
okay.
for it. No, I'm not gonna call you.
You threw up in your mouth 20 minutes ago. So.
Delicious.
Yeah, you can call me stupid for drinking Malort.
Dan, have you ever heard of Malort?
I have not.
Malort is on our podcast, Pint of Comics. This goes back several years, but Malort is basically the worst liquor on earth.
Oh, is it from Michigan?
It is from Illinois, Chicago.
Okay, yeah. No, I'll take a quart of Malort. I would drink that shit like candy.
You've had it.
No, but I will. I'm telling you, I am not discriminate when it comes to what I
Okay,
drink.
well, here's the thing.
We'll get him on. We'll get you on actually in the studio, and
Yeah.
then we'll do a shot.
Otherwise, the studio known as my kitchen. But we have an offer to anybody that wants to come over. You could bring Word of Burroughs over. We could all play.
Sure.
And we film for Pino Comics on Facebook and our website. Everybody doing a shot, and people have different reactions.
Yeah.
My reaction when we had a prior podcast a couple years ago. My reaction was what you would consider poor.
Okay.
I didn't react well to it. I didn't vomit, but I acted like
Understatement.
I acted like probably like a 7-year-old little girl that was poisoned by an evil witch. I don't know what it was, but everything short.
Any 7-year-old girl saying those words should be punished for a few months.
Yeah, I did say some horrible words too. But so that's wonderful that he will drink Malort by the quart. Part of John's reasoning for almost vomiting here today was due to Malort because we had a game night at my house last night.
It's called 4 days of no sleep and probably more than enough Malort last night, and then God knows what else the night before. So fuck you.
Well,
Wait, what makes this Malort like so torturously bad?
oof.
So it's a liqueur made from wormwood.
Okay, that's
And,
vermouth.
It's very
that's what
bitter.
absinthe comes from.
Yeah. So it's very bitter, but there's just something about it that people react badly to. I just drank too much of it.
Yeah,
with,
if we
with
weren't
beer on an empty stomach.
if we weren't at a family event right now, if this was more,
Is this a ritualistic? Do you put like it on a sugar cube like you do with absinthe?
No.
You just drink this
you
straight.
just drink this straight, and it's terrifying. It's so that's wonderful. No, you're Hartford.
you
We're
can see how hideous
we. Oh, he
There it
just. my God, Dan's never going to come back on the
sharing
show.
a mic with you.
You're gonna edit that one out too.
Yeah, I will edit that out. Dan will
why we
never
have
come on the
these.
show again. Yeah.
Splash guard.
Yeah, these are the vomit catchers. Malort is
I
just the
assure
worst
you, I
thing.
am not drunk now.
Malort is the worst thing on earth. But that'd be wonderful. At some point, I can get you down. We record out of the Wallingford area. I live in Wallingford. So if you ever want to come down, bring Word of Burroughs down.
That sounds absolutely wonderful.
Now, what? Give us. He's going to show you the.
Oh, I want it. I just look at it. Yeah. If it looks vaguely like urine, I'll probably drink it.
Yes, yeah. It's the color.
Is that your personal collection of that?
I think this is last year's stash when I came back from GaryCon.
John goes to GaryCon in Wisconsin every year. On the way out, they stop in Chicago, and he picks up a couple bottles of this stuff.
Mega Civilization.
Oh my
from last
God,
year.
that's phenomenal.
Isn't that
That's
awesome?
tremendous. Add some Malort, that's a good time.
I think we were drinking Jack Daniels that day.
So, are you going to be doing
Look at
other
that.
shows? Are you going to be hitting?
Look at that.
I will be. I'll be tooling this game up. I'll be bringing it around, try to hit some other stuff, try to get it for PAX East next year. I mean, really, now we're just kind of working in a prototype phase. Eventually, we're going to hit a Kickstarter. That's when it's going to get real.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I got to say this. I mean, this is one of the things about Connecticut Festival of Independent Games that the creators that come out with their prototypes to see what the public's reaction. And it's basically plate, but it's awesome. I really enjoy it. I mean, we've done plenty of that today, again. So thanks a lot.
No, super invaluable feedback. No, I mean, I just really appreciate everyone's time for
Yeah, do you have, I mean, we know the prototype step, but do you have a Facebook page, or do you have anything that...
I've got wordofburrows.com, WORDOB... Oh, God, I can't spell. Probably made the wrong game. Wordofburrows.com, it's all O's, wordofburrows.com. There's no other vowel in there.
We'll put a link up on the Facebook page, and we'll make it a bit easier. But
I've had too much Malort.
no, you've been too close to him.
How you doing?
The Malort fumes.
That's a contact Malort.
Yeah. So we'll get you down. We'll bring some other people over, some other people that are fond of games, and we'll get some more input for your game. And you could do a shot of Malort and regret it for the rest of your life.
No, I think he's gonna like it.
I'm in the one. Yeah, I have a feeling Dan's going to be not in the one-timers club.
I'm telling you, I will make it a habit, even if it costs me my taste buds.
I'll say that it lingers for quite a while.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I really did dig your game. Now, in terms of the pieces, you have those great little metal dragon.
Those are pieces from Dragoon. We're going to be working with the same production company. My good friend John Roderick, who is here today, he makes pieces through a company in Rhode Island, and he's got a business actually making metal pieces for games. And he's going to have pieces just for our game, and we're going to have kind of a classic fantasy archetype mixed with sort of like a word play. So we're going to have characters like Paladin Drome and Grammari.
Okay.
And
okay.
Nomenclature.
Right.
And we're just going to have those fantasy archetypes as your player avatars, and that's where we're going to go. And they're going to be in the wonderful metal that Dragoon is made in, and that John sets other games up with.
That's awesome.
Really, really talented guy.
I got a really good feeling about this one. We've, like you said, we've been to a few of these over the last couple of years, and we've gotten to see some games that we played, and now they're on sale. Now they're out here, and I have a good feeling about that game.
We've seen a lot of really good creations come out of this thing. So I mean, not that this is the impetus for it, but yeah.
Don't throw up on them.
I'm not. I'm good.
Please do
Put
it.
it right in your lap.
Yes. Let me get a plate.
Thank you for talking about your game, and
Get him out of here before I puke.
and thank you for humoring us as we talked about Malort and vomit for another 10 minutes as well.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're back at the CT Fig, and we're here with a very special guest, Lou's daughter, Casey, who this is going to be a first for any podcast we've done. We're talking to like a 16-year-old girl.
15,
And
thank you.
Okay,
I'm turning 16 tomorrow.
Do
You're ahead.
you see that? She's pulling the 15-year-old girl shit with me already. Did you hear that? 15. I'm turning 16 tomorrow. Very, very well. Thank you. So Casey came here today, and Casey is related to Lou, so she must have some love of games in herself.
Actually, no. I was just dragged here.
You weren't dragged here. You have on your Kylo Ren shirt. You came here. You were hoping to see some other people with Kylo Ren shirts or other nerdy shirts. You came very willingly.
No, the actual story was he went, I'm going to this thing. Casey, do you want to go? I went, I got homework. He went, let's go to this thing. And I went, okay.
Your dad had to talk you out of not doing homework to come to a
Yes.
game festival, and that wasn't good enough for you?
I had homework. I mean, that is quite important to me.
It's important to him, too, but this is important as well. This is bonding moments. You're going to remember this.
We didn't even play. We literally just played the only game we played today together.
You played as many games with Johnson as you played with your dad.
Yeah, I know, but like a stranger and my dad. I played one game with my dad.
I like that. That might be, Sir John might be gone. It might be John the Stranger Johnson.
I don't know.
It actually describes him so well in so many different ways. So what I want to ask you is as a first-time Connecticut Festival of Independent Games goer, did you like the show? What games did you play that you really liked a lot?
I played a lot of games, but my favorite one's probably Fall of the Last City.
Fall of the Last Season. Oh, they're in the corner with the kind of
with the barrels.
The
with
barrels
the
with the
yeah,
flames. Okay.
I really love that one.
What type of game was that?
It's like Risk, except everyone's going all at once, and you can stab people in the back or play together, and it's actually really fun.
Oh, we're gonna have to try that. Cooperative and not cooperative at the same time.
It can either be cooperative in the fact of you can ally with people to get more points and then be able to like use their stuff, or you can backstab everyone and take all their bases and be like, this is my points now.
What did you do?
I allied with people and then didn't actually attack the last city and just got a base and got second. So
there you go. So what other? I saw you playing a card game over there. What was that?
That was Invasion.
Invasion.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
That was really fun because it's
fun.
going to be even more entertaining playing with a family because they all know you. And
Yes. Oh, and your dad bought that today.
Yeah,
if
he
he
did.
didn't tell you, so
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I have that as well, and John does too. We've been
Oh, and I played Philosopher's Stone. Which
Philosopher's Stone. Is that a Harry Potter game?
Not really. It's
Did
just
you know?
about a Philosopher's Stone.
Did you know Philosopher's Stone was the British name of the Sorcerer's Stone?
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew that.
You did know that because you're a nerd.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's basically you have to gather elements that are randomized for what the Philosopher's Stone's actually made of, and then you have to try to get as close as possible to score the most points.
Okay. Did you play any games you hated? I'm kidding. Don't say
No,
that because we're interviewing these people and we don't want to.
No.
We don't want to hurt anybody's
I
feelings.
hated none of the games. Actually, no, I didn't. They were all really fun.
All right. Good. So you had a good time.
Yeah.
If Geek Fever Games, well, not if, but when they have another Connecticut Festival of Independent Games, even if you have the most homework ever, like it's social studies and English, would you take a Saturday and come?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that is so you have just every interview we've done today has been for the sake of the game company and the game makers and talking about their product. You just did a review for the Connecticut Festival of Independent Games, which is a lot to say at once. It's CT Fig is much easier to say.
Yeah.
You enjoyed yourself.
I did.
Did you see anybody wearing a Kylo Ren shirt?
No, I
You
didn't
know
see
why?
any Kylo Ren
Because
shirts.
Kylo Ren sucks.
You suck. Get out of here.
And on that, I'm going to end it and say, Casey, thank you for being on the
problem.
Pint O Comics. Last night, Lloyd said to me that sometimes I say Pint of Comics, which I don't think I do. But Lloyd also was like half a bottle of Malort in.
I did
So-
get forced into this, so you're welcome.
How did you get forced into it?
He literally dragged me over here. This is no joke.
What did I say, though? I said, you're like a pro, too, because look at you. You got one can off the ear.
I don't like both headphones.
You don't like, you're like a
No,
pro.
I'm
You're
like one of those people that doesn't like both headphones.
Johnson.
And she... John,
I did everything for you.
John, no, I will ask you this real quick before I dismiss you. How did the Plus Word game go with you and John?
Yeah.
You had fun?
We aren't going to talk about one thing that happened.
Oh boy.
I'll
Oh
tell you
boy.
that in the car.
Oh
We aren't
boy.
going to talk about one thing that happened.
I'm gonna tell you in the car when we're 2 towns away.
Yeah.
if all of a sudden, just tell me, if all of a sudden, like I see the little Kia coming back into this parking lot really fast in about an hour, and Lou walking out with a shotgun, do I have? Is it John I have to worry about? Or okay, all right. We'll keep it at that. But thank you so much for being on, Casey.
No problem.
We appreciate it. All right, we are back for another segment at the Connecticut Festival of Independent Games.
And I'm feeling all right.
I'm feeling all right too, and we are here with is it okay if we call you John Marshall? Yeah. He's got Marshall on the name tag because he's going with that cool just last name like Logan or.
No, my last name is Britt, as a matter of fact.
Oh, so you're not Marshall's just a.
That's my middle name.
Middle name. Okay. All right. Marshall's a cool middle name.
Did you miss that earlier?
I think did he say that? I thought he said his name was John Marshall.
See, I may be as wiped out as I am, but even I remember that.
Well, I've been babysitting you all day, so my brain can only.
I'll tell you, you both got destroyed by me in the game. Wasn't that what happened? So I think
we mentioned this earlier because it was 38 to 28. So I'm sorry, John Marshall, 38, creator of the game, might we mention, who might know the loopholes on how to cheat. John Johnson, the stranger John Johnson, who is a true gamer, 28, and then me, who was just trying to stay in the game, 8 points. But we did pull the 8 trifecta. We all had 8 in the score, and in the new rules and record, that means that everybody's a super winner.
We call that the Ocho.
The Ocho.
The Ocho.
All right, so the Ocho. So we're very excited because we're getting towards the end of the Connecticut Festival of Independent Games. I did the CT-FIG, Connecticut Festival of Independent Games. It's a mouthful, but we just had the award segment they did, and you just won an award. And you were like super psyched, which is awesome because just give us the story. We did play your game earlier. Explain your game. Explain how long you've been dealing with this for. Putting it together.
Sure. So Record is a guitar-themed area control type game where you're also trying to fulfill real guitar chords using real guitar picks placed on a fretboard. The idea is you've got a couple of scoring avenues, and you're trying to point up as quickly as possible while keeping your opponents from doing the same. And we brought it to Connecticut FIG today, and we've shown it at PAX South before, and we get generally pretty good feedback, but we made some changes before this week. So with those changes, I think came a lot of even more positive feedback, but the biggest thing was, this game is new and fresh and unique, and we've never seen anything like it before. And I guess that was sort of, confirmed by, we were very, very fortunate to get most innovative game of the show get the award. So I'm now on top of the world.
You were on the top. You should be. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I think I'm more than thrilled, but again, it's nice to get recognition anytime that this happens because as I was mentioning before, I've been doing this for 3.5 years. We've published 2 games. I still don't necessarily feel like a professional game designer day to day. I still feel like, this is just something I do, and people sometimes pay me money to do it, but it's just something I do.
Same as my hookering.
Yeah, and your physique. Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, that's I can definitely tell.
Absolutely.
You should see him when he wears a small coat. It's very
fat guy.
They don't call it moonlighting; they call it an eclipse. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So but we had a blast playing. The 3 of us just playing, even with pretty differential point score. I mean, you were getting kind of clobbered on that the whole time.
do you want to mention the 38 to 28 to 8 again?
Just if you want to talk about the score one more time.
Yeah.
But I still feel like you were engaged in the game and having a good
time.
I
dug it a lot.
You were the first one to put a chord together, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And I know John pretty well, and I know he's a gamer. I could look at his face and see when he's getting into something. And we played a lot of great games today, and I'm not saying he didn't get into any of the games, but he really got into your game because I think it was different.
Yeah, it's vastly different. I mean, when we walked over, I was talking to Matt Plord about this. Plord, P with a Lord,
not Plord.
We both were said the same thing to each other. It's like, it's a game about guitars, and how the hell is that going to be interesting? But it ended up being, as usual, never take anything at face value because it was an awesome game. I enjoyed it so much because the strategy level is really there. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate it. We honestly have evolved the game from being initially a sort of luck-based game where you would just take one pick out of a bag and make a choice based on what you got. And then that was the big thing, was I want more choice, I want more power, I want more decision in the game. So we turned it into the draft that you guys played, and that's where you can choose one of a few different picks. And that immediately just opens up to where you've got this massive amount of choices and decisions, and you're checking, what does each power do again? Oh, how can I exploit that power? How can I change that? How can I move this to where I need it? And every time you do that, you're also influencing someone else's play, and it's just they're going, God, he just messed me over so much, and you don't even really know you did that. You're not trying to take that, but it's just happening. So I like that because in a game, animosity can begin when you really start to take that and take that. But this is just sort of, well, he didn't do it on purpose, but God, it's so frustrating,
And I have to wonder. I mean, we were a 3-player game.
usually not something that is actively engaging. But that was really good. I can only imagine how vicious it could be with a 4-player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you get to 4, you've just got so many more things moving and maybe a few less chords going down. But again, when I put in certain wild picks in certain places, that's just, you just help this guy and this guy and this guy. So it's interesting in that, really no matter how much you're helping yourself, you might be helping or hurting someone else, and you don't really know until they capitalize on that. So
one of the things that I mentioned, I think, when we were playing before, and I think this is a cool little feature of your game, is that not only is this a game, I'm not a guitar player, John's not a guitar player, we picked it up, we could enjoy it, we could buy it, we could play it. That's the type of game that you could put at the register of a Guitar Center or I'm going to say something like
absolutely.
Sam Ash, which they might be gone, I don't know, but a place like that, and actual guitar players might look at it and go, Media play.
Yeah, so that's one of the draws for us, is that we can bring in maybe new people to this hobby that we all enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Tabletop, and then maybe there's some crossover there with musicians that get into it, but also it opens up this new market of people that are maybe guitarists that just want to play a guitar game, and they realize, wow, this is kind of fun. And so, what other strategy games are out there where I place something and try to take, and then they learn about things like Ethnos or other games that are just great out there that have territory control and these other mechanics to get them going. And now we've got somebody else in our hobby who's also collecting 400 games and getting yelled at for their large apartment full of games by their wife or whatever the case may be.
Bring out the fact that you love this shared mic Steven Tyler thing going on. Just imagine Steven Tyler picking up your game and just having a field day with his bandmates.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Any musician at all, really. But yeah, to have a famous musician play it would be pretty incredible. That's for the most part. I think any famous musician, barring Nickelback, I'd be pretty cool with.
Man, Nickelback.
They're just a punchline. Sorry, that's not.
They really are, but you know what? They're laughing all the way to the bank. But,
Scott Sapp's greased chest is greased with money. That's
Oh, that's Creed. That's.
Oh my goodness, I just messed the two up.
If it was a math formula, it would be Nickelback is to Creed as Creed was to, and then you'd have to think of whatever the horrible band before Creed was. Okay, so now here's a good question. You're a guitar player. How long have you been playing guitar for?
I started playing about 6 or 7 years old. I had a Gibson half-size guitar that my mother had played, and I snuck it out of a guitar or something like that, or snuck it out of a closet and started plunking around on it. And I would just dink around on them for about 3 or 4 years. And then when I was about 10 years old or so, they bought me my first 12-string guitar. And at that point, I was, a guitarist. I was playing well. So, and since then, I've been playing guitar ever since. I have a collection of 13 or 14 of them now. 2 of them you guys saw out there with the game because, you get to take a picture if you win, all that fun stuff.
We didn't get to take a picture because you won.
Well, I won. If you guys want to come take a picture,
we can take a picture with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
With you with the guitar.
So guitar's been a part of my life. It's just a hobby, and my uncles played, and I always play with my uncles, and they would show me cool stuff, and I go home and learn how to do that, and play my music. So it just seemed natural. I'm not sure why it took us 3 games to get to a music theme, but it's been a big part of my life. And so on this game, it goes, let's look at something that I enjoy, and I feel it shows in the source content. The game is something that's also something I enjoy. The guitar is in every aspect of that game. I like to think
I honestly couldn't picture someone not being a guitar player designing that game. It just seems like it would be a faraway thought.
There's no way I could sit down and design a game like that. No way in hell. I can't even come up with a plus words type of game.
Well, and to be perfectly fair, while I could say I guess I can't design it, I cannot develop a game like that by myself either. I want to give a pretty big shout out to my co-developer. His name's Andrew Toth. He's the other half of Yanaguana Games. If you've been at PAX, you might have met him. He's the other guy that's with me doing those. But for the most part, Andrew's silent. You're not going to hear him talk about himself. You're not going to hear him talk about us or
he's not even here, and if he is, he's invisible.
He's very quiet. He wants to make games better, and that's what he does. As my partner, he makes games better, and he's the reason that Record's better. It's I may have designed a good guitar game or come up with a good idea, but essentially the reason the game is good is Andrew. He's the one who goes, this is broken, it sucks, fix it, And so then we have to go back to the drawing board and do that. So, while I have some creative ideas that usually come out pretty well in the end, it's not without going through his meat grinder of, this is terrible, this is broken, or I'll break this and find a way to break it. And I have to speak to development is probably the biggest unheard hero in the industry. Like, is you can sure come up with a great game, but you need somebody to play it 40 times trying to exploit some mechanic you've done if you want to make great games. My biggest advice to anybody is work with a developer, work with another person to bounce things back and forth, because playing that tennis is how you get better. Playing tennis with another developer designer is how you get better. And I think J.R. Honeycutt is probably one of the better in the industry right now, doing it with everybody. He helped develop Seafall with Rob Davio, but you've probably never heard JR's name until I mentioned it. He develops games alongside others and makes them better. And again, those are huge industry folks that I don't think get any respect most of the time, or at least any recognition, to the point that, like, again, I couldn't make games without Andrew. I don't think it would ever happen without somebody to really show me how things were broken and get to that point. So I just want to mention that while I do design stuff,
that's awesome.
There is another person that is absolutely just as much responsible for that game being where it is as I am. So.
Good. Well, we'll have to make sure he gets to hear this so he knows, and he goes to sleep at night and feels good.
I won't share.
You won't let him know. No, you're not even going to let him know you won this award.
I'll be texting him immediately. But yeah, no, I'll definitely let him listen to it. But don't let your head get too big, Andrew.
So just because we meander a little bit on the podcast, but this is in line with the meandering. You're a guitar player. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Your top 3 favorite guitar players of all time.
So this is going to be controversial. Top 3 favorite guitar players of all time is probably going to be number 1. I would say John Mayer, and that's going to be just because
John Mayer is a really good guitar player.
Technical guitar, he is probably the best living guitarist right now, and that's affirmed by the fact that Eric Clapton kind of agrees with me that John Mayer is probably one of the best living guitarists. So that's guitar-wise, that's my best. Number 2, going to be close second, but Jimi Hendrix is very, 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 very much up there. I'm going to say number 2 is shared by a dead and a living, and that's Jimi Hendrix and Gary Clark Jr. Gary Clark Jr. plays a lot of very Hendrix-esque and very blues-type stuff. It's sort of a mix, so put them in number 2. And then my number 3 is a guy from up here named Chris Smither. He's a fingerstyle guitarist that plays acoustic guitar. Incredible songwriter and singer that only really works like the Boston area and stuff like that, and is probably 70-something. But he is one of the best guitarists ever. You can listen to him on Amazon. Look up Chris Smither.
Chris Smither. I'm going to look him up.
This is why we ask people questions like this.
Yeah, we exactly. You didn't give us Jimmy Page. You didn't give us, Jimi Hendrix might be considered in the usual.
I gave you maybe 2 of the usuals, but my third one is definitely not a usual.
I know. I actually know. I don't listen to John Mayer myself, but I've seen him enough live in terms of on TV and stuff like that to know he is fantastic. I think the reason he has a bad reputation is stuff like Your Body Is a Wonderland, where he kind of went, the poppy direction.
The album to pay for the rest of them, right?
Yes,
that's the thing. But also, I think he's admitted in a couple Berkeley interviews, like, I make pop music, I make popular music. There's nothing wrong with making popular music as long as that's your goal, right? And so that's his goal. In doing so, though, he's put himself in a position where he now plays Jerry Garcia's part with the Grateful Dead and the Dead and Company.
Yeah, he sits in on. He sits in on the Stephen Colbert Show,
or Colbert Show sometimes.
Jimmy Kimmel, I think.
He also played Magnolia, Eric Clapton's song, live, and Eric Clapton said he played it more beautifully than I've ever tried in my life. And so, again, the pop getting him to that avenue was probably, I'm guessing, his goal, but guitar-wise, there's certain riffs in like Gravity or certain songs that he has that it's just unbelievably well-written guitar music and riffs that you just don't hear elsewhere. So that's one thing I really, really enjoy about him. On top of that, my wife likes it, so it doesn't hurt that we can listen to the music together.
Right.
Which, some of the Hendrix stuff, my wife's going to get a little tired of the guitar aficionado type thing. So
right. My wife likes stuff like Katy Perry, so we don't listen to music together at all.
I'm not married.
Yes.
Pop music is interesting in that it generally gets lumped together, but I think there is some good popular music.
I will say, here's one my wife likes that I will, and since we're meandering about music for a minute, I actually do like this guy, Bruno Mars.
Oh, I love
Bruno Mars. Have you ever listened to Bruno Mars?
Well, an incredible entertainer.
He is an awesome entertainer, and his songs all sound to me like early '80s funk, like Gap Band and stuff like that. But not just that. He does a lot of different things.
Well, and there's something to be said for having live musicians playing music rather than a track behind you, which a lot of musicians use backing tracks. He uses live, musicians with actual horns. So they've got trumpets and saxophones behind him, and they're playing, dancing, singing, the whole thing. I mean, that show used to be something you'd dress up in your best, go out to a nice place to see. Now you turn it on YouTube. So it's a matter of the reason part of that's gone away is because the media has been cheapened, right? It's not the same, but it's impressive to see that, and to see the way that he performs. It is a commitment to making you have a good time, right?
Oh,
I think as a
oh.
game developer, we can learn something from that, right? Like, commit to making the people who are your audience have a good time, like whatever you're doing, right?
We gotta have him on the show more often. He ties things together. Like we meander and go off in areas. He gets us right back to game developing.
Well, yeah. Where are you from again?
Well, from South Texas, but I live in Providence now, and segues are, I like them.
In our last show, where we were mostly talking about G.I. Joe and 80s
Toy
pop
properties.
culture stuff,
Yeah.
the end of the show ended up being a whole thing about Frank Zappa. So it's just the way we do things.
We did an 80s toy property show that ended with 15 minutes of Frank Zappa and the Dweezil Zappa, the legal problems that they're having with touring under Frank's catalog.
If you didn't notice from our chat while we were playing games earlier too, I can get sidetracked very easily as well. That's our. We're actually called Pino Comics, but like we will start talking about one thing, and I'll notice as I'm editing or re-listening, I'm like, we never got back to that. Like we started, we actually had really good points, and then all of a sudden we're like donuts, and it was like, it's funny. Some of my favorite podcasts with different comedians. I listen to a lot of comedy-based podcasts because it's a good thing you can listen to and not get upset or anything like that generally. So I listen to a lot of comedy, and that's one thing that they'll call themselves out on a lot. It's like they'll start telling a story, then move on to something else. They never get back to it. Then the next week they'll be like, I never finished telling you guys about X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, we've done that a few times where we're like, on the last episode we started talking about whatever it may be, and let's finish that now because we started talking about anything else other than that. So
It's just the way we roll.
Yeah, it's cool though. It's all right. We're okay with it.
I appreciate it because it lets me sort of meander as well at the same time.
Yeah, no. Well, we're super happy because, like I said, we did really dig your game. You won the most innovative award.
Most innovative, yeah, which I'm thrilled about. I mean, that's saying that amongst these other games that were, again, it's a curated show, right? So they were chosen to get in. Every game in here is already amazing to get into the show, and then to say that ours is the I guess most fresh or new idea out of all of them is like I don't even know what to say to that. It's truly humbling, but beyond that, it's I greatly appreciate it because I think that what we did was try to find something that was not the same old, same old. I mean, the themes in my world generally tend to be fantasy, zombie, maybe a little bit of spy or espionage, random miscellaneous things like coffee or bananas or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
Guitar or music is not a huge theme we found in board games. I know there are some, but in terms of good ones that I've played, there just wasn't a ton.
I find very funny about you saying the banana part is if you turn around,
there is a stack of bananagrams.
But Bananagrams is on display right behind you. It's apparently a banana-based card game, I'm assuming, inside of a sack that looks like a banana.
It's a word game. It's actually a pretty clever word game. It's, their packaging is the really cool thing is they just have a banana and you open it up and there's these wooden blocks that you use for the word game. They're in Target and everywhere. They're actually in Providence.
Of course they are.
It's, one of their employees plays at the boardroom where I play. And he's a very nice guy. So.
Well, it's been great having you on. We appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for playing my game. I really appreciate it again, and I can't thank you enough for sitting down and talking with me about it.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you showing us the game. We love playing it.
Just know that you got the best of me today.
Well, we'll have to play again sometime soon, and then we have to make sure that we end all of our scores with an 8 as well.
Yes,
again.
yeah.
And I don't mean in the fact that you beat me. That was the best of me today because I am running out of steam quick.
Yeah. We've mentioned it several times, but John, we played your game. John had a rough last couple days, and immediately after we played your game, John just hit the skids. He's over here like laying down. I'm doing the show by myself. He is just so. Thank you you did get the best of him.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to have done that to your brain, but I guess that's a good thing, right? Yeah.
So give us.
I don't think there's any brain left.
No, it's all mush. Give us everything that people might need to know: website, name of the game again, name of the company again, all that good stuff.
Sure. So our website is www.yanaguanagames.com, and that's YANAGUANA, Yanaguana. Twitter is Yanaguana Games. Our Facebook is Yanaguana Games, and the game is called Record, and that's RE-Cord, CHORD. Look for Record coming up on Kickstarter probably August. I don't want to lock in a definitive date because I'm just making sure.
Well, you said it here. You better have it in August.
Roughly August.
Our 6 listeners will be waiting in August for this.
Roughly August, and if there's any other information you need, feel free to send us an email at Yanaguana Games.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on.
Thank you.
All right. We are back for one last go at the CT Fig.
Connecticut Festival of Independent Games.
Connecticut Festival of Independent Games. Let me enunciate that. The Connecticut Festival of Independent Games.
I'm getting lazy.
Yeah.
If you only had a camera on me now.
I was telling you during the break there. geez, out of any of the times I've been around you in the last couple of years, today I think we had you at your worst today. I would describe you as a bruised garbage bag full of chili today, and not even good chili, like Wendy's chili.
I'm terrible. I don't even know what the hell it is.
Here's John's maladies so far today. I had too much to drink last night, so no sleep over the last couple of days.
It's the sleep.
He has a bruised rib, we think. Two bruised ribs.
I got a nice lump on my chest.
and as we talked about on one of the earlier segments with the gentleman from Word Oberos, what was it?
Word-a-burros.
He basically almost barfed all over the table here. So we've had an interesting day. We got to talk to a lot of cool people. We got to play a lot of cool games.
Yep.
You agree?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, I drifted off there.
He drifted off. He has the focus of a 4-year-old in a candy store right now.
It's because you stuck me right next to the damn X-Wing games, and I'm looking at the models, and I'm like, should I take one of those home tonight?
I'm gonna take a picture of the what John's been staring at the whole time, and I think now that he says it, it makes sense because we discussed he's obsessed with the X-Wing game, and we were stationed at a table today. Well, originally, and we're not complaining. Originally, we were stationed in what we call the naughty corner. They didn't have exactly a table set up for us, so they put us in the corner with all the spackle and the asbestos.
Apparently, they're doing some repair work.
The dim lighting, and I think we saw a rat.
Yep.
And no, there was no rats. Then someone apparently didn't show up, and they said, we got a first table actually on the sales floor. So we moved over here, and as we sat down, I looked over and went, oh, there's Johnson's paycheck, because we are staring right now at the X-Wing miniature game. I'm looking at a Y-Wing, if you remember John's favorite ship from Star Wars. I'm looking at maybe a Death Star, maybe a T-16 Skyhopper, or something along the way. We've got a whole bunch of nerdery here.
I'm surprised I don't see the Tantive. It was here.
Tantive 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you buy it last time?
No, I did not.
No, we got 6 different iterations of TIE fighters. Trivia question. Do you know what TIE stands for?
Twin ion engine.
What a nerd. What a nerd. I knew it too, so I'm a nerd too. But
nerds.
We've got to talk to some cool people today. We had
a good time.
We actually, very funnily, I'll tell you this story. If you remember Adam the Impaler, who was on a few segments ago that me and Lou talked to, him and one of his buddies, Josh, came over, and we talked for about 45 minutes, and we talked about everything pop culture you can imagine, ranging from DC Universe movies to Transformers. And
they got a fellow lover of the IDW Transformers series.
Yes, so, we got a fellow lover of the Transformers comic books.
Yeah, gotta love that.
And we talked Kong Skull Island. We talked so much stuff, and about 45 minutes into it, because the plan was this will be closing up soon. Me and John were going to record another whole episode here, and we just kind of got into the groove of talking to these guys. And about 45 minutes into it, I look at them and I go, "You guys want to sit down and we'll actually just do an episode with you guys?" And they unfortunately are from the Cape Cod area, so they've got about a 3-hour trip. Yeah. They got a 3-hour ride back home. They couldn't do it, but basically there is, between episode 6, which was our last episode, and episode 7, there's an unrecorded piece of gold out there that you'll never hear, but it's in our memories.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. We talked about, one of the things we talked about, which we could talk about in this episode, even though it's not Connecticut Independent Games related, is you saw the Wonder Woman movie.
I did.
Why don't you give us your spoiler-free review of the Wonder Woman movie?
Let's see if I can do this you want a bumper sticker or you want a full review here?
Give me a full review.
All right.
We got time.
Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is going to be a superstar. She completely dominates that movie, which is a fairly well done version of the Wonder Woman mythos. It's new and different. It's not what you're going to expect. There's the base template is there, Paradise Island and her origins and all that. Some of it's kept a little mysterious, which I think is a smart idea. There are some major changes which fans of Wonder Woman, of the comic version of Wonder Woman, may have a problem with, like me.
Did you have a problem with them?
I did. Like I said to Libby and Eric, who went with it, it's an enjoyable movie. It really is. Changes they make are obviously for this new movie version of the DC universe.
Right.
Because I like Gal Gadot's performance so much, it's hard to say that the movie it doesn't work, because it does work. It really does. So the changes that they put certainly work for the character in this particular movie, in this particular version of Wonder Woman.
So what you're saying is unlike a lot of fans, you're able to divorce yourself from the fact that this is not the comic book.
It is not the comic book. There are various things that they've pulled from the comics,
right,
and quite a few instances the George Perez version, which is we're going real nerdy here, the post Crisis on Infinite Earths version of Wonder Woman.
Right.
So
He was the first writer after Crisis.
he was a co-writer, and artist.
And for quite a long time, too.
He eventually became the primary author of Wonder Woman and stopped drawing it. And he did it for, somewhere in the 75 issue range.
Wow.
Maybe even further than that. But yeah, and his particular version of Wonder Woman is, for me, is one of the best. And there are aspects of this movie that are his, and they do give him a big, thank you at the end credits.
Good.
Along with a lot of other people. But it's definitely a new and different version of Wonder Woman. And some of the new 52 people may see some aspects of it, but I guess I don't really know because I never read any of it. The storyline is from the original Wonder Woman, World War II. That's
right.
The setting. This is not World War II.
World War One.
Yeah, I guess I'm not giving away anything there.
That's not giving away. No, everybody knows that.
So the basics is World War One, and honestly, which I thought was a really strange thing to do, it works for this movie. I mean, I don't see why World War II wouldn't be any better, but
World War One is in any movie, it's such an untouched.
it
World War
is.
II movies are left and right.
Yeah, and
World War One is such a kind of, in terms of for movies settings.
It's hard. Yeah, it's not really a utilized setting.
Do we get not a spoiler, but do we get some trench warfare in this movie?
Yeah, not a lot, but yeah.
Mustard gas? Do we get mustard gas?
I don't want to give anything away, but gas as a whole is one of the big plot points.
Okay, all right.
The villain, if you want to call her that, is really scraping the bottom of the barrel for just for character. Really you're looking at a Z-list Wonder Woman villain and not because she's not an interesting villain, but underutilized completely. I mean, really obscure.
So it's not Cheetah.
No,
a gigantic. I'm
right. No,
I am not I've never been a Wonder Woman reader. This movie, I couldn't tell you this was right, this was wrong. So I think that. Do you think I'll enjoy the movie?
Oh yeah.
As a movie, as purely
yeah.
on a movie level, does it hit point A, point B, point C, and then give us a good ending?
Yeah, and this isn't giving anything away either. It ties directly into that lovely movie that you love,
Batman vs Superman.
Yes, it ties directly into that. It's a well put together movie. It's got a full story there. So I mean, to say it's the best of the DC Universe movies is not a high.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not high praise, but,
no.
but okay. So, based as a superhero or a comic book based movie, would you say it's a home run, or would you say it's middling in the middle of the pack?
It's above par.
Above par.
Yeah, it's
that's
definitely
good.
above par. And again, a lot of it is due to Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Who she's so amazing. She's gonna have so many more admirers at this point, like me, because all the people that all right, here you go into the fan whininess of it when she got cast.
Yeah,
you remember all that when she got cast?
Her breasts weren't big enough.
Well, yeah, and she wasn't tall enough, and blah blah blah, and all that. It's like, shut the hell up.
This is the only time anybody on Earth has criticized Gal Gadot over her looks.
Right?
Is when she gets cast as Wonder Woman.
Right.
This is the society we live in. Is that a woman who looks like that, we're suddenly going, not good enough.
Right. It's so
Go back in
ridiculous.
your basement.
It's so stupid because she's so good. And here's the other thing too. Speaking of good, she is good.
Yeah, you're saying her performance is good. She's not.
No. I'm saying because it's Wonder Woman, she is good. There's no shades of gray here.
Right.
She is a good heroine.
She's not Batman versus Superman, where you're going,
Yeah.
This guy doesn't seem like Superman.
She's doing the right thing.
Right.
For the right reasons.
I'll tell you though.
It probably, if you look at it that way, she's the first true hero in the DC universe. Because
Right.
you don't have a Superman, the Man of Steel. I can't even comment on that.
Yeah. Well, again, as we talked about with my theory on the Man of Steel is that he's not Superman yet.
Right.
But
and sure, you're gonna get the whiners like, oh well, she kills a lot in this movie. It's like, because she's an Amazon, it's not a hard stretch.
she's a warrior.
Right. There's that
warrior.
The whole island is the Amazons are warriors.
Yeah.
And they kind of gloss over the whole Amazon storyline, which is too bad because it's really good. Go see it.
I do want to.
I have to say, it's worth seeing. What did I say to you? It's worth the money.
Oh yeah.
That's high praise from me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my wife to go see it
because it's a $10 movie and I'm really cheap.
I do want you to spoil one thing, which will be a service to our listeners.
Sure.
Should they sit through for an end credit scene?
Do not sit. because there is no end credit.
So
scene.
you can just get up and go and
Yep.
get out of that theater. I know their
Yeah.
theaters nowadays are super comfortable with those reclining seats and everything. As
You don't
opposed
have to wait.
as opposed to Guardians, where you had 5 scenes.
Yeah, you don't
There's
have
nothing.
this.
This
There
movie
is
ends.
nothing.
You see the director
That's
credit.
it.
Get out of the
Yeah.
door.
Just if you want to sit through the credits, go right ahead.
You might hear
because
some great music.
Yeah.
I'm sure the score is probably great.
Score's not bad. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like the Batman theme to me. You know, the new Batman theme.
Yeah.
'Cause it's all the same garbage. There's some good bass lines, and yeah, I mean, you get into a good theater with a good sound system, it's gonna sound awesome.
I'll tell you, without seeing the movie from the trailers, it looks gorgeous. Like the scenes on Themyscira, like the sky and the beach and everything.
It's beautiful.
Looks
The
awesome.
daytime scenes, I don't know where the hell they filmed that, but my God, it's gorgeous. The battle scenes, you know, you get the aspect of World War One and the brutality of it, and there isn't enough of it to go around. I think it's a long movie though. It's 2.5 hours,
They're all 2.5 hours now,
which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm into that long.
If it's
you
a-
don't feel it though.
If it's a comedy, I want to be out an hour and a half, and I'm probably not going to see it in the theaters.
Right.
If it's a drama, action movie, something along those lines,
and this is an
I'm
origin
okay.
story too,
Right.
So the story is good. It's a good movie.
This is high praise from you because you're not easy to please, and
I'm not.
you
I'm
are
really highly critical of things, and both Libby and Eric are like, don't ruin the movie for me. And I'm like, all right, I'll keep most of the criticism to myself because there are parts of her development story wise that I didn't like that they dropped from what I know, you know,
right,
which is too bad. Some particularly when it comes to the Amazons itself, I don't know. There's some stuff I really didn't like. The villain, Ares, that's not giving anything away either because it's right there. I don't want to say who's playing Ares because I saw it coming a mile away. Other people won't.
It's a role within a role.
I guess.
It's like when you meet Palpatine and he's go for Palpatine.
Something like that. Yeah.
That guy kind of seems familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not bad. It's the battle sequences. I mean, her fighting ability. She's just naturally athletic.
Naturally athletic, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, I never heard of her before she got cast as Wonder Woman. No idea who the hell the woman is. Never really looked at her. I heard she got cast. I'm like, whatever. I don't know who she is. I don't know her acting talent. This is going to make her. I mean, she's already had multiple careers before this. This is just going to make her.
Yeah, she was a model, a soldier.
Yeah, I know, the soldier, and she's Israeli, right?
She's Israeli.
Yeah.
The movie is banned in Lebanon.
Oh, I know, and I love the fact that people are showing it anyway.
Yeah,
I love it. Go for it. If there's anything that makes Wonder Woman, I mean, the whole story of Wonder Woman, the whole idea behind Wonder Woman, the freedom behind the character, rebel against your own government to show a movie. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
You give it a good rating, but you talk about it with a high rating. I have a feeling this is going to be the kind of movie that when it comes out,
I'll end up watching it again.
You're going to watch it again, and I think you're going to go, I liked it even more.
Probably.
Because as you talk about it, you're going from, I had a problem with this a little bit, I had a problem with this, but you're going, oh, and I could hear it.
And here's what I really liked about it. Now, there's a point where you have Steve Trevor, who's played by Chris Pine, and played well. The nice thing about Chris Pine is he's able to take on a role and not be like Will Smith. Will Smithing his way through the character.
It's not.
He has bigger range.
It's Steve Trevor as played by Chris Pine, as opposed to Will Smith as Deadshot.
Yeah, it's and I hate to pick on Will Smith because I do think he's talented.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like watching him, but he just doesn't have as big of a range that I was.
I think at one point he may have when he played like Ali and stuff like that, but I think we're
maybe.
so far past that.
I think he's almost dialing it in at this point.
Well, when you become, again, I like Tom Cruise.
I think After Earth ruined him.
I like Tom Cruise,
we're
but
getting way the hell off. Well, yeah,
but
Jack
Tom
Reacher.
Cruise, but Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Like, there has been very few movies where you go, man, Cruise really stretched in that role. You just go, okay, he's this version of Tom Cruise.
All right, yeah,
he's
a
that
good
version
point,
of Tom Cruise. You know.
Right.
So, and I think that's where Will
this
Smith
is very comfortable. I'm like sitting like this.
Yeah, you're maybe we'll come here to do all of our shows.
But anyway, what I was getting at was so Chris Pine plays Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor, obviously military man. He has a team of people that he works with that.
Oh, like his Howling Commandos
yeah,
type thing?
Essentially,
Yeah,
if you want to. They're not. I mean, they're nothing like that. But man, what a great group of actors.
Do we have some guys? Well, I won't
three
ask
of
you
them.
because I don't want to be surprised. But anybody we would recognize?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
You'll definitely recognize at least one of them. I recognized two of them. One I didn't know at all. I have to look them up. But they were all great.
In fact, I wish I could remember the guy's name. Probably should have looked that up before. But
we'll put it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
We'll add addendum.
I'll throw him up there because I recognize him right away, and he's really good in the role. I can't wait to see him again in something.
Right.
Because he's just it's like he's not the comedian of the group, or he's not the comic relief or anything like that. But there's a lot of funny scenes with both him. And Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, and then him and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, just fun stuff.
We talked about this earlier off the air, but I think this was kind of funny. The whole idea is that Steve, Themyscira is just an island full of women, and Steve Trevor crash lands on Themyscira, and they nurse him back to health, and they joked about this thing on Jimmy Kimmel or something where they were talking to Chris Pine. And he's explaining that he's like the first man on this island, and whoever it was, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, said, that's kind of unfair to men in the world to have you land on because Chris Pine's a good-looking kid, so you have you land on there, and I think you said there's actually kind of a reference to that in the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. There's some fun.
I just think that's funny. I don't, we've talked about the
Star
Trek movies before. I don't dislike Chris Pine. I
don't either.
I just don't think that Chris Pine is really Captain Kirk.
He's playing a different Captain Kirk.
He's playing a different Captain Kirk, but I think that he could do other things, and I've seen him in other things. I told you earlier you hadn't seen it. He was in Smoking Aces, which is a really cool movie.
And I've heard of it. I'm surprised I didn't know that so many people were in it.
No, Ben Affleck is in it. Peter Berg is in it. But they're all small. A lot of them are small roles. Matthew Fox from Lost is in it. There's a ton of people in this movie.
Matthew Fox. Boy, where's he gone?
Yeah.
He's on something now.
I don't know.
Not like heroin, but he's on a show somewhere.
He's on the 710 bus to St. Louis.
I'm gonna find him and put him on the radio show.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him on the radio show.
God. Anyway, but yeah, I think Wonder Woman was enjoyable. I really did like it. It's surprisingly funny in places.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think that was an edict with the DC. Whoever the heads are there is after those dour, particularly Batman vs Superman. You definitely saw that they tried to interject some humor into Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
and if you see the trailers for Justice League looks almost like a friggin' comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're trying to go the other way.
There's a big preview for Justice League before Wonder Woman, and if anything, it made me not want to see it.
The whole story behind Justice League, I'm sure people have heard this, but Zack Snyder, who directed Man of Steel and directed Batman vs Superman, who gets a lot of crap from people, he's going
through hell right now.
He's going through hell right now, and you know what? I feel terrible for the guy. His daughter committed suicide about 2 months ago. He went right back to work trying to put this thing together. And at the same time,
he has the same idea in his mind that I would do. It's like you just got to keep things regular.
Keep pushing, right? You got to keep pushing it and not let things change. And I hope everything works out. Obviously for him and his family.
He's got younger kids. Too,
he's got younger kids. And
so you got to feel for the guy.
I feel for the guy. I do, and it's unfortunate. And I'm glad. One thing I'm glad about with fandom is I don't go online an awful lot. Is I haven't seen anybody be heartless or be cruel. It seems pretty. And there was a lot of room for that because before this was all announced, they had already brought Joss Whedon in,
and this is
to work on this thing.
And this is where I really get sick and tired of the way headlines are written.
Yes,
because they're acting. The news, if you want to call them that, are acting like Joss Whedon is taking over the whole movie. The movie's already freaking done.
Movie's done. Joss Whedon was brought in to do whatever magic he supposedly has to tighten things up, to finish some touches because. DC's smart. They're going, well, here's the guy who made probably the most successful Marvel movie. Money-wise, Avengers, the first Avengers.
Certainly.
And he did it with a disparate group of characters.
Yep.
So you've got Snyder, who got us this far. Bring him in to do the final touches. But then, of course, this happens, and they kind of start writing it out as well, they have to, he can't handle it. And that's not fair. And I'm actually...
Joss Whedon replaces Zack Snyder. Yeah. It's like, nah, not really.
I'm actually really hoping...
Get over it.
I'm really hoping for Zack Snyder's sake. Not sake, but, I hope that movie does pretty well. Yeah. I'm hoping I see it at some point and enjoy it because I want to enjoy a Justice League movie.
Yeah, I mean, think of Watchmen. It's basically an unfilmable comic.
Yeah, and you know what?
I didn't hate it.
No, he pulled it off. He pulled it off as best you could.
Yeah. For a single movie.
For a single movie.
Yeah.
I am not. I have it. I have it on DVD. I've watched it a few times. I enjoy it. I much rather would read the book.
Yeah.
But you know what? if you were to take that and say we have to film it, I can't picture a much better version. And I've always liked. I wasn't a huge fan.
I really wanted to see Terry Gilliam's version. But,
he's got a lot of those that you'll never see.
Yeah.
Another one Snyder did, and not just like giving him fan service, but like he's a good director.
It's like you're licking his balls.
Well, no, but people, I
can say that now because we're not on the radio.
You can. Sometimes I get sometimes directors like that get crapped on a lot, like Michael Bay, and
Michael Bay kind of deserves it.
He kind of does, but you know what? Armageddon's a great movie. They do certain things well. Zack Snyder does a certain thing well. He does those big movies, and he actually did his first 300 was the one that got him noticed, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. But his first was the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was great. It was a great movie. Ving Rhames is in it, and Mekhi Phifer.
Yeah.
Great little horror movie. Great zombie movie, and he's done some good stuff. I really enjoyed another one that I really liked that he did that a ton of people hated was Sucker Punch. I liked Sucker Punch a lot.
That's right, that was him too. Yeah, I like that.
That's a crazy movie.
It's weird,
weird
But I mean, again, that's Jürgen Prochnow. I love Jürgen Prochnow.
Weird movie.
And he's been in some crap.
Yeah.
What was that? House of the Dead.
Oh, never saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Was Jürgen Prochnow the guy that played the head bad judge in Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love him.
We'll send you out to the wasteland. He's almost got. He's Austrian probably or German. He's almost got like a little bit of that Schwarzenegger.
Almost, yeah.
Judge Joseph Dredd, you've been found guilty.
He's still got that interesting accent, and I'll tell you, he did.
He was the captain in Das Boot. Oh, Das Boot was
yeah.
awesome movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was hired for the audio version of World War Z.
Really?
To play. There's a German character in the book, and he plays it. And I swear, you could listen to him all day. One, World War Z is an awesome book. If you've never read World War Z by Max Brooks, it's one of the. I know people hate it, but I love it, and huge seller. Terrible movie.
I enjoyed the movie.
Oh God, it was so bad.
I enjoyed the movie, but not knowing the book.
No, it doesn't even matter. That movie was terrible.
Oh, I like that movie.
You're an idiot.
I like that movie. I'll take that.
We're just podcasting.
Two real adults?
Yeah. Supposedly.
We were called that once.
We were called that one time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not.
We're kind of real.
Yeah. I like World War Z.
Yeah,
we've got a show on iTunes, and we'll be on WESU Wesleyan Radio
starting
tomorrow night. We have a show starting. So if you want to hear the radio version of the Titanic, tune in tomorrow at 6:30 because we've never done a show before.
Look at it this way: the podcast is the unclean version. The radio version is going to be all no swearing.
Yeah.
There's lots of things we can't do. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
So either you need to be on Sirius, and then you can swear.
We're currently working on college radio, so
you would think that it's okay, but swearing is not allowed.
No, they have a dump button.
Did you listen to Howard?
I have. I don't listen to him anymore because I don't have Sirius.
So he started on a college radio station.
He did.
And he says that, and he's from Hartford. He was in Hartford for a while.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And he says that he got fired from the college radio station.
Yeah, they'll do that.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, we are possibly on the road to that. So.
Well, no, he got fired because he was just bad.
Oh. Yeah. Oh no, we're possibly on the road to that as well.
Yeah.
No, we like our show, and we think we do pretty well.
Podcasting, it's great.
Yeah, podcasting's fun.
My niece is runs a podcasting, what do you call it, like
network or?
It's like a network where people pick their favorite podcasts and then they go on and they list 5 a week. And it's called Earbuds. It's like, what's it called? It's like a co-op.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Take that and give that to her.
I'll give that to her.
What's your name?
My name's Mindy.
We have Mindy on the show with us right now. Mindy, you're on.
We're recording.
We're not just talking to each other with mics here. We're recording.
Oh,
we're not
sorry.
live. We're not live.
That's okay.
No, absolutely. No, we had you come down and sit down.
That's cool. Well, we're here. We invent games.
Oh, you guys. Well, we got another guest on.
Oh, hey.
You invent games. Yeah, really.
Get a mic.
Sit over there, grab a mic, and we'll talk about what you invent.
We might want to have Jeffrey in on this too. He's playing his game called Attraction.
Look at that. This is impromptu. We were just talking about the Wonder Woman movie, and we've been here all day. We've been talking to game creators, and we were just wrapping stuff up, and then you walked over, looked at this thing, and
so what is this? And I really like podcasts.
so we're on iTunes, so you can find us on iTunes. You can subscribe to us, and you'll get every time we have an episode, it'll pop up on your device, and You can listen to us and laugh along, and sometimes go, that was horrible, and sometimes go, that was wonderful. And
Sometimes we're a little misogynistic.
no, not that. No.
Okay, sometimes I'm a little.
Maybe.
I like your microphones.
Yeah, thank you. I
They're
picked them
very
out.
cool.
I picked them out myself. I am one on Amazon.com, and because I don't know anything about microphones, and I went, that looks the nicest to me for what I could buy. So that's what we did.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. This is our second podcast. The first one we did kind of collapsed.
What was it, the topic?
Well, this is pop culture. We're
Yep.
called Pint of Comics, so we do anything pop culture and beyond. We'll talk about anything,
Yep.
really. What are you into? You want to talk about something that maybe isn't involved in pop culture? We'll talk to you about it. We just like to talk on the show.
So we're actually here because he and we have a little company and we invent games.
Okay.
So he's not my first husband would be the way I would refer to it. You like that?
Where it does? I don't want to ask if that implies second or like
Right,
seventh or if is look. You could tell me and be honest. Is this a black? Is this a?
Not his.
Is this a Black Widow situation?
What?
Is this? Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a Black Widow situation? Is there like a string of like? We're gonna have this in 5 years when they catch you. We're gonna be like, we talked to the Black Widow of the East Coast.
Well, I used to say. So I had this first husband, and he wasn't the good one.
No.
And then I got this really good second husband, and I used to pray that the first husband might get
Whoa.
But that didn't happen. It happened to the second husband.
Oh, jeez.
It's like man plans and God laughs.
I guess.
But anyway, so I was bringing him up because he wrote a book, and it was a sci-fi book. He was a rabbi, and he had a heart attack. He died. It's been a while.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah,
It was
well,
totally sad.
That's very
Really
sad.
What was the book's name?
The book is called The Flying Lion, and he was writing it because he wanted to learn how to write a book because he was ready to write that book that was going to save the world. But first he needed to learn how to write, and he loved science fiction and reading sci-fi novels, and he loved sword fighting and playing with swords, and so he would collect swords. And
Interesting rabbi.
Very interesting, and he loved history, and so if there was something in history, he would buy a sword that went along with the history, so he could feel what would the protagonist, what would it feel. So when someone dies, they leave a lot of shit behind. Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, we swear all the time.
So when he died, he left. He gets left with all his stuff, all his toys. Well, his toys were big. I had closets filled with armor and chainmail and swords, hundreds and hundreds of swords. Very cool. Right?
Yeah.
So he also had that book that he wrote. It was called The Flying Lion. And he wrote that book so that he said to scratch the itch. There's readers that want a good sword fight. And he was a very good writer. And so this is a book filled with great sword fighting. And it's not it's not a G-rated. It's probably, beyond R.
Right.
There's a lot of
SEX?
color in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some sex and some violence, but it's a pretty good book.
The original name of our show is Sex and Violence.
Sex and perfect.
We changed that at the last minute because we figured that sounds better to kids. The comics will draw the kids in, and then they'll go.
Hey kids, come drink.
Yeah, that was the second title. Hey kids, come drink.
Come drink.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you might want to read The Flying Lion.
Yeah.
It's out on audio. It's out as an audio book also.
Really? Where can people find it? Is
They
it
can find it on Amazon.
Amazon.com? The Flying Lion by
Evan Radler.
Evan Radler. So we're breaking stuff to people right now. Someone out of our 6 or 7 listeners is. If one of our 6 or 7 listeners downloads that,
I would be thrilled.
Yeah.
Because I said to him, you write it, I'll get it published. So it's published as an ebook and it's published as an audio book, but now we just have to get people to read it. And I think that once it's read, it'll go viral. Once we get it into the right hands. I just don't live in that world. I'm not in that sci-fi world. So that's one of my projects. I want to get it out there. And I think it would be a great video game. So if there's anybody that's producing or here in this venue, I would love to find.
They're producing board games for sure in this venue. So
These guys, they know everything here, so there's probably someone that you can connect with.
It's kind of cool.
So what is the name of your game company? What are you inventing? What game are we? I hear dice rolling back here. Everybody on the listening to the podcast hears dice rolling over and over again.
And they're having fun.
And they're having fun.
Behind you.
That's the game you can't resist. It's called the Game of Attraction.
The Game of Attraction.
And it's a magnet game. And
you're playing with magnets?
You're playing with magnets.
I hear click, click, click. Is that the magnets?
Always with the magnets.
It's fun. If you notice, they're flicking them, and the goal is simply to make clusters. So you flick the magnet on the table, and they either repel each one another or they catch up together. And at the end of the game, there's about 26 magnets in a set. You can use more than one set. You can play with. I've played with up to 17 people with lots of sets and big tables. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most wins. Something drops off the table, the next player gets it.
Imagine playing
and
last
you have to
night.
say thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
It's a good drinking
Yeah,
game.
I don't think so.
I would say we.
A teetotaling rabbi. Oh, he's a rabbi too, by the way.
Oh. We'll have to get over there and play around.
And our game company is called Turn to the Wonderful.
Turn to the Wonderful.
When we met each other, life took a turn to the wonderful.
That's awesome.
That's unusual for our.
What I like about you coming on the podcast is that we just had a complete story. We had a whole story arc.
Yeah.
We went from things were good, happy. We went down quick.
We killed my husband.
Oh my.
The wrong one.
The wrong one.
The wrong one.
We bounced. You have a attitude and a soul that I think is incomparable. I'm being totally honest. You are quite awesome.
You are certainly changing the whole.
Yeah. So we dropped low. We dropped low.
Okay.
And then the Turn to the Wonderful came. You brought us right back. We just actually made a standard Hollywood romantic comedy movie, but with much more interesting things.
You should do a book on my life. Movie. Yeah,
we just had an unfortunate death. We've had 2 rabbis. We've had hundreds of swords. Honestly, this is better than anything we've had so far on the show. So I really appreciate that. Well, I'm sorry. What was your name again?
This is Mindy.
Mindy.
Radler.
Mindy
Glickman.
Radler.
Last name's Glickman now. But it depends on the city. I've got a lot of names.
Oh, well, the Black Widow thing. That's understandable. You don't. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding with that.
You know, I tell him he's my current husband.
Current. How does he handle that?
He's very nice. He's the nicest man you've ever met. Very nice.
That's awesome. Do you have
patient.
websites and stuff like that? You want to repeat that stuff?
Okay. So
Yeah.
turntothewonderful.com.
Yep.
I also own a tuxedo store. Now, if we want to go to different, it's prom
Can I call you a
season.
Renaissance woman?
Do you know how tired I am? It's prom season. It's really busy.
Yeah.
If you need a tuxedo, Tuxpert, TUXPERT.
Tuxpert. I like that.
Yeah, we're like experts in tuxedos. Tuxpert.com.
Yeah. Are you local? Are you in Connecticut
We're
or?
in Westchester County in New York.
Okay. All right.
Not far.
No, not too bad. Not too bad. He's always in New York. He's a
Offer
courier.
same-day service.
I travel around.
He travels. He's a courier. So.
So why Wesleyan?
Well, we know some people there. Yep. So we were doing a podcast with another gentleman a couple of years ago, and that all went to hell. And we really love podcasting. We really found that it was something that we enjoyed. So we decided we're going to go back into this. We took a little bit of a break because we had to get all the equipment and all that stuff. And then in between, we know one of our friends is a DJ there.
No, he's the general manager.
Well, no, Brian,
Brian,
and then.
Yeah.
A kid I went to high school with, and I'm in my 40s.
I know.
A gentleman I went to high school with is the general manager of the station, and we went to a fundraising event for the station, and he said, we do summer classes and stuff, and you can get a summer show when all the students go away. So we took classes, and we got our license to DJ, I guess, and I did some internships with another show. I was working on a 50s doo-wop show. And they said, what do you want to do? And we said, we want to do the same thing, talk about pop culture and stuff like that, but we're going to do it live once a week. And what we have to do, we can't, like, when you said shit or hell, whatever you said, we would have to hit the dump button.
Edit that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, this will not be edited. If you were on the radio show.
Then I would have been nice.
Yeah, I know.
We've said much worse.
We've said much worse. So there's an
He graduated from Wesleyan.
Did he really?
Yeah, we were just there
This
last
is
week for a reunion.
This is circle of life stuff right here.
Right.
This is you walked over for a reason. That's awesome.
That
all
must be
it's all the pint of cow. It says CT Fig.
CT Fig.
Festival
no
of
such
Independent
thing
Games.
as coincidence.
No. I mean, and you said Panic Comics. I'm going to refer to it for the rest of the show as Sex and Violence. But yeah, if you check us out, we just like to talk, and we talk about a lot of stuff that you might not be your thing, but if you know somebody that's into comic books or movies, or just say, hey, look, check this out.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that, and I can. I'll send it over to Ariel, who does the Earbuds podcast.
Yeah.
Co-op or whatever she calls it.
Yes, that's.
And every Sunday night, she sends out a different list of which podcasts. There's like a theme, and then they do. The person picks 5 podcasts and shares it with the world, and then they go on to some hashtag thing and discuss it.
This has all worked out very well.
Kind of fun.
This has all worked out. We're ending the show right now. Would you like to end the show for us? Would you like to say thanks for listening to Sex and Violence and being on our CT Fig show?
Thank you so much for listening to Sex and Violence.
Well, and we do one other thing at the end of every show. We have our way out, and what we say is we say see ya, one at a time. So I'll go and you go, and then so this is John. See ya.
This is Sir John once again. CT Fig Tabletop Shop, Newington, Connecticut. We're having a great time. See you next year.
And Mindy.
This is Mindy Radler Glickman. See ya.
Thank you very much.